Crafts and creative work can ground you in the present. I think that doing something that you can physically touch and feel is really, really important.
I'm Emily Paluska. I'm a botanical artist in Washington, D.C.
Being a botanical artist, nature is the template that I'm working from, and I always think it's important to respect it. What I love about paper flowers specifically is it allows you to not only respect it, but to also put a little bit of yourself in it too. Doing creative things requires a certain vulnerability to show the world what is inside of you. After the birth of my first child, I was going through a really dark period of time. I had really bad postpartum depression. At that point in my life, I really felt like I was disappearing. I didn't know who I was anymore. I decided that I wanted to do some sort of creative endeavor, specifically with my hands, because I was so stuck in my head. I saw paper flowers on Pinterest, and I thought that might be something fun to do. Seeing bright colors and feeling connected to nature felt like a natural step. I live in Capitol Hill in DC, and the gardens here are stunning. I had a lot of inspiration just walking around my neighborhood and seeing beautiful things. The thing I didn't like about real flowers was that there was an expiration for your enjoyment. The idea of being able to make a flower that I really loved with no expiration date on its beauty was really lovely to me. After I put the baby to bed, I could sit down and make something with my hands. I really wanted to be consistent to prove that I wasn't going to give up and that I was able to still do hard things and push through. My very first flower that I ever made is this flower here. So you can see that my flowers have definitely progressed since then. But this was the first one that I ever made, and I remember being very proud of it. And I keep it to remind me of where I started whenever I get frustrated or want to give up, or even now when there's a flower that I'm really trying to nail and it just isn't quite right. I just like to keep this as a reminder that if you keep going, good things will come. Just getting used to the materials was a huge learning curve. I had a really big problem with spatial understanding. I would make things either comically large or comically small. My first templates are literally flower petals that I pressed and then traced. Realism is really important to me. One of my favorite things about making flowers is getting real models of things, deconstructing it, understanding the botany of how this is actually in the wild. This is a plum blossom bonsai tree. This piece probably took about 40 hours to make, and that does not include all of the, experimentation to get it exactly right. Trying to mimic the gnarled and the twisted bark of bonsais and have it still look like it's alive was a really exciting challenge to do. It did really help my mental health. It gave me a purpose. To be able to have something there that you can see and hold in your hand when you feel like you aren't even you anymore is really important to remind you that you do still exist, that the present is still there, even if you're lost in your past. I grew up in the Midwest, and it was a really rural area. We didn't even have a stoplight until I was in middle school. I had a very bad haircut for many years of my life, but ultimately I think I had a really happy childhood. Unfortunately, my mother got really sick and passed away when I was 16, but these pictures do make me happy because it reminds me of a time where, life was a lot simpler. Emily helps mommy plant flowers, June 1987. You are a good helper. I love you, Emily. One thing that my parents did when I was growing up was we went to some sort of convention for families that had adopted Korean children. They had us put on traditional Korean dress. This is called a hanbok, and I remember feeling so embarrassed when now I feel like it's something I would be very proud to wear. I have been on a very deep dive in the last few years to reconnect with my Korean heritage. When you want to make authentic and true art, you have to be willing to look deep inside of yourself. It became important to me to learn the language, cook the food, understand the history and the traditions. You know, I didn't grow up being taught anything about Korea, so it's been something I've had to seek out for myself. I have found a lot of inspiration in Korean art and the meaning of certain plants and flowers in Korean culture. Ginkgo is one of the oldest plants. It's resilient, it has longevity, and it can endure in even the harshest conditions. There were 4 ginkgo trees at the Hiroshima bombing, and they're still alive and growing today, so they can withstand insane conditions. And I felt really drawn to that symbolism. A lot of Korean art is tied to the duality of light and dark. And I felt like that was so poetic for me. It just felt like this aha epiphany moment. Like, I am where I'm supposed to be. I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I never thought I would ever feel that in my life. Art itself can be a very exclusive community, and I do not like that. Art should be accessible to anybody that wants interest in it. The flowers that I make today were not the flowers that I started with. You don't need to have a degree in art. You don't need to have been painting or drawing for years and years. This is the fun thing that you get to do this week. Wherever you came from, whatever your story is, as long as you're willing to let that creative part of you come out, beautiful work will follow. Just starting is the most important part. You can worry about all the other stuff later, but you have to start. Thank you so much for watching. In my Skillshare class, I teach you how to make a variety of paper flowers. To join, click the link below.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our latest videos.